And we are back with the third segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, we are going to be talking about the Knicks going up 3-1 in their series against the Sixers, as well as the Pacers going up 3-1 in their series against the Milwaukee Bucks. So we'll start with the Bucks, who are right now in a little bit of a crisis, considering how in Game 3, this game I also was unable to cover because I did my Friday segment before this game even started, but Damian Lillard ended up getting injured in this game, which caused the Bucks to go into Game 4 without Damian Lillard and without Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it would seem that their hopes of winning this series are all but over. And a series that I thought was going to go to Game 7 ends up probably only going to be able to go to 5 games, because I really think that this Pacers team, like now that since the Pacers team are healthier than the Bucks team right now, they are just a much better team. And I had the Pacers making the series close with 7 games, and I had them winning, but I didn't really expect them to be able to win in 5. And it's really unlucky for the Bucks because of their injuries. However, having said that, I don't think that whether or not they were injured or not would have had much of an effect on this playoff series. I don't think that it would, because they lost. The Pacers, they won Game 3 in an overtime with where the final score was 121-118, and let's just look at the box scores for that game, so that way Damian Lillard, he ended the game with 28 points. Again, he was injured. Again, he got injured later in the game. That's my bad. Portis ended the game with 17 and 18 rebounds. Middleton ended with 42 points and 10 rebounds, but it wasn't enough to stop these Pacers, who ended up having Tyrese Halliburton drop a triple-double, 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 16 assists. Miles Turner had 29 points and 9 rebounds. Pascal Siakam had 17 points and 9 rebounds. And Andrew Nembhard had 16 points. And Obi Toppin also ended the game with 15 points. And the Pacers were able to come out with the win. They shot way more shots than the Bucks. And because of the amount of shot attempts, they took almost 20 more shot attempts than the entire Bucks did. And when you take that many more shots, you're obviously going to have a better chance of making more shots than the other team, and that's sort of been the difference maker for the Pacers when they were matched up against the Bucks in that specific matchup. Now, excuse me. Obviously, when you're if you're the Pacers, this was a very good win, because now this moves the series to 2-1, and they ended up playing the next game at home yesterday against the Bucks, again without Damian Lillard and without Giannis Antetokounmpo. And the Bucks, they couldn't win without those two stars in their lineup, and the Pacers ended up winning 126-113. And Middleton ended the game 25 and 10. Brook Lopez ended with 27 and 9. Malik Beasley ended the game with 20, and Beverly ended with 9. That was basically all that came in from the Bucks in terms of scoring. And the Pacers, Pascal Siakam, he sort of slowed down a little bit from his first few games against the Bucks. He ended the game with 13 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. And Miles Turner ended the game with 29 points. Halliburton ended the game with 24 points and 4 rebounds and 4 assists. And Obi Toppin ended the game with 13 points. And the Pacers shot much more efficiently in this game than they did in the previous game. They took just as many shots as the Bucks did. Well, almost just as many. They were just one shot away from tying them in shot attempts. They did tie them in shot makes from the field. The Bucks shot 51.1% from the field for making 46 shots, and the Pacers also made 46 shots, but they shot 51.7% from the field. So it was that one shot difference that really changed like the entire. It was that one shot that affected the field goal difference between the Bucks and the Pacers. But why was the score so spread out? Well, it was because the Pacers were able to make a lot more threes than the Bucks in this game. So the Bucks, they shot 12 of 33 from 3, and that was 36%, so not too bad. But the Pacers, they shot 22 for 43%, not 43, but 22 for 43 from 3, and that was 51.2% from 3. So obviously that was a very close, not a very close game coming in from the Pacers, and like the Bucks ended up losing this game 126-113, and they desperately needed Giannis to win this game, but unfortunately he was unavailable for the Bucks, and because he was unavailable for the Bucks and because Dame is now injured, I really don't see the Bucks being able to win out the rest of this series, as well as being able to even win the rest of the postseason. Now, for the next game, which is the Knicks and the Sixers, the Knicks end up winning 97-92 after Joel Embiid scored his 50-point game against the Knicks in the previous matchup. He ends up scoring 27 points in this next matchup with 10 rebounds, and Tyrese Maxey ended the game with 23 points and 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Kelly Oubre ended with 19 points. And the Knicks right here, the only real player that was really like scoring that well for the team was Jalen Brunson, who ended the game with 47 points, 10 assists, and 4 rebounds. OG Anunoby ended the game with 18 points and 14 rebounds, and 16 points, and 14 rebounds. And the team, those players played a lot of minutes. Josh Hart only had 4 points, but was able to get 17 rebounds in this game. He shot 0 for 7 from the field, and Precious shot 0 for 5 from field, but it was all right considering how the Sixers just weren't able to really sort of function as the game continued. The matchup throughout the entire game it seemed like Philly was going to Philly started out coming out on top. Then the Knicks started to even the score. Then the scoring was relatively close in the third quarter, and it was also relatively close in the fourth quarter, but the Knicks were able to prevail and were able to win by 5 points. Luckily, because of partly because of Jalen Brunson's 47-point game. Without that 47-point game, this Knicks team probably wouldn't be anywhere, which is honestly a little bit of a problem for this team, because I feel like with this scoring, all this heavy scoring from Jalen, if you stop Jalen, then you essentially stop the Knicks, and that's really it's really alarming when it's like that's basically the only offense that this Knicks can really give you in the postseason. And this might be because Julius Randle isn't in the rotation anymore, and because of his injury. But regardless, the fact that you need a dominant performance like this from Jalen Brunson in order to win is a little bit concerning going deeper into the postseason. But a win is a win, and I'm not going to take that away from the Knicks, because now they're up 3-1 in the series. Now they play this next Game 5 at home, the perfect opportunity to close out the series and completely do away with the Sixers, so they don't have to worry about playing them again, and they could rest some of their players, because I believe, the rest of the teams in the Eastern Conference are still playing some playoff games, and let's see. So the next Eastern Conference playoff game is going to be the Celtics going up against the Heat. They're the last team in terms of because right now they're the only team that hasn't played either 4 games or 3 games. Like, they're going to play their 3rd game in today at 7:30 against I lied. They're going to play their 4th game. They haven't played their 4th game yet. That's my bad. The series is 2-1 right now for Boston, and it looks like right now the Sixers and the Knicks game could be the first Eastern Conference matchup that ends. And if that's the case, then the Pacers are looking like they're going to end up winning their series as well, which means that the Knicks aren't going to go up against the Pacers, because most likely the Boston Celtics are going to win out their series, which will then force the Celtics to play the Pacers because they are the higher seed, so the higher seed has to play the lower seed. But that's sort of like what's being expected of for both the Pacers and the Knicks looking into looking into the postseason. And again, it really seems like New York is just going to dominate entirely, and I really hope that this team makes it out of this first round and ends up going into the second round. But with that, we are out of time for this 3rd segment. So now I will go ahead and go into the 4th segment, where I talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder and their series, as well as the Celtics and their series. So I will be right back after this short break.